guys, so we're back out on the water today in HMS Jope UK, and we're back in Cornwall, and we're going to plan is to try and find some bream. So super excited to be diving mainly between 20 and 30 metres. The visibility looks good, the conditions look flat calm, so we'll see what we can get.
We jumped in the water about 3 kilometres offshore to explore some deep rocky ground where I'd found bream back in August. On my first dive I landed right next to a 4 kilo pollock in 18 metres of water. I had a quick look around to check there wasn't anything else on offer before I got my balance and put a spear in my first fish. The very next dive I descended the edge of a pinnacle to land on a rock ledge in exactly 20 metres of water. The bream I'd seen here back in August were replaced by big pollock. The best of the bunch here was 5 kilos, so I lined up the shot. In typical pollock style, the fish dive bombed and wrapped the line around a rock. So, having shot this pollock at about 20 metres, I had loosened my reel a bit before I dived, but for some reason I just could not release it. The reel had jammed and this pollock was completely tied up on the reef. So there I was at 15 metres, jammed reel, pollock below me. Decided just to see if I could rip it free. I'd pulled so hard I couldn't believe this fish was still on the line, but by the weight it was definitely still there. I just had to play it in the last few metres without losing it. I could not believe I might be about to land this fish after all. Then right at the surface, after a 20-metre trip, the fish breaks away. And bear hug time.
The reel on my gun jammed again. I had a bit of trouble with the reel, and the spear ripped right through the fish, and then managed to clip it under the skin, and it pulled the fish in with the flopper under the skin, and then the flopper came out right at the surface.
After switching guns, I jumped back in the water to try and find one of the elusive bream. On the whole, things seemed pretty quiet on the bream front. Ledges which held swarms of bream earlier on in the year were now full of big pollock.
Want to get these bream. Getting a bit annoyed now. I've seen a few. They're not appearing above 24-25 metres. That's why I haven't seen one. Using my coat hanger.
As it always will on these offshore reefs, the current was now ripping through and I needed one last attempt to catch the bream. Grabbing my coat hanger for my breathe up, I dived right down to 30 metres so I could look over the sand patches at the base of the pinnacle. Lying on a ledge, I didn't waste any time in placing a spear through this bream. I was over the moon to be bringing a bream to the surface at last. except when I got to the surface, the fish was gone. I've never felt so gutted.
So it wasn't to be with the bream on this occasion. They can be quite a tricky fish to catch, but bumped into some nice pollocks, so pretty happy about that. And hoping to get down there possibly once more before winter, before the new year. So stay tuned.